Welcome to the Biz Easy podcast, where small business is simplified for greater results. Brought to you by Resources and Development. Go to www.resources-development.com for help in taking your business to the next level. And now, help me welcome the host of the Biz Easy podcast, Steve McCrillis.
Welcome to the Biz Easy podcast, where small business is simplified for greater results. I'm Skip Williams, lead business coach, and I'm playing host today because Steve has written a really cool blog, and I'd like him to share it with us today. But first, Steve, let me say that I'm always impressed with that huge vocabulary that you hold inside that cranium of yours. So in honor of that, I thought I'd tell you that I just made some synonym rolls.
Synonym rolls?
Synonym rolls. Yeah, they were mouth-watering, appetizing, tasty, yummy, scrumptious, and delicious. Boom.
Rim shot, please.
On that sour note, Steve, go ahead and make it biz easy for us.
Okay. Well, let me start by asking a simple question. Have you taken a road trip lately?
Oh, yeah.
Having lived in San Diego, California for a few years and suddenly embarking upon a move to Tennessee, my wife and I decided to take a road trip up to Monterey. For those of you who have never been, it's just south of San Francisco, about 500 miles from San Diego. We thought, what a great way to end our experience on the Golden Coast. So where do you start your planning? Well, the obvious answer is right from where you are. Today, it's quite easy to plan a road trip, or not plan for that matter, and just jump in the car and go. Head north or whatever way is in the general direction of your destination. You plug in a location of your first day stop in your GPS app on your phone and go. Years ago, the journey required a bit more thought as you had to acquire the necessary paper maps or open Netscape on your computer and print the maps that cover the route of your journey. I guess that dates me a little bit, doesn't it, Skip?
Me too.
Anyway, going off route is not uncommon, but finding your way back is always necessary to avoid getting completely lost. Such is the route of your business. You start with an idea, a dream, if you will, of where you'd like to see yourself in 1, 3, maybe 5 years doing what you know. Your trade, your skills ideal for that business are clear and well suited. So with clear eyes and boundless ambition, you embark upon the journey. You're a business owner. Depending on where you are on that journey, as you hear this, you may have decided you had not planned for an issue with inventory shortages or employee dysfunction. How about accounting mishaps, or even less customers than you expected, and maybe even not making the amount of money you had expected? Now what? Quit? Bag it all? Do something else? Absolutely not. You're better than that.
Steve, I find myself using the GPS even when I know where I'm going, so that I know what time I'll arrive, or more importantly, if I'll need to know if I need to make any adjustments in my route due to an accident, police, weather, whatever. I would imagine that a regular analysis of your business can provide the same information and direction, can it?
Perfectly worded, well-placed question, Skip. Always right on the money. The answer is in the road trip. Start with where you are now. Thus, we've created the SGA, Strategic Growth Analytics, an application to obtain a baseline of where your business is today. Whenever we are honored with a business owner sharing the vision of their journey, asking us for input, we logically start with where that business is today. We work together to determine the reasonable step to continue that journey by asking 3 important questions. The first question is, what was your vision when you first got started in your business? The second question, where are your most critical challenges from achieving your business goals? And number 3, where is the company today in terms of revenues, gross margin, and net profit? With a starting point, obstacles, and a destination clearly in front of us, we can review up to 32 important strategies in the 5 pillars of your business that have time-tested, mathematically certain changes that can occur in your business to incrementally change the outcome of a business owner's effort. As with your road trip, road construction or an unexpected detour can change your plan. Do we change the destination? Well, of course not. The solution is based upon the basic principle that from small change, great things can come to pass. Using the depth of your working knowledge of your industry and your acute awareness of your business, we review how small incremental changes will impact your revenue growth and the money you put in your pocket.
Yeah, Steve, there's a lot of pivoting and adjusting in any business for sure. How do we break that down into the areas that need adjustment or improvement?
We look at the 5 pillars of your business, and they're quite simple to distinguish. First, it's people. Second, it's product or service. Third, it's operation. Fourth, it's sales. And finally, money and finance. Breaking them down into the 32 different strategies, we can identify the value of making an improvement in process or operations and allow you to think differently about the solution. Using the obstacles or challenge that you as a business owner are faced with on a day-to-day basis, the focus of your effort can become easily shifted to the squeaky wheel, so to speak. Most business owners find themselves trapped in time addressing each issue that occurs to the point that the distraction takes them away from the central focus of their effort. The SGA, the Strategic Growth Analytics, becomes your GPS for reaching your business destination.
I love that concept, Steve, of the squeaky wheel. And I think what you're saying is that the squeaky wheel may not be your biggest issue and that can distract you from something that's more critical. Am I right?
Absolutely. It's a good time to look at the issue and recognize how fixing the wheel rather than greasing the wheel will impact your company's performance. For example, a 5% change in 5 areas of your marketing effort will yield more than a 25% change overall because of compounding, and that's mathematically speaking. Taking your business to a new level does not suggest that you must reinvent the wheel. You've honed your craft and you have been successful. An analytical review of what has made you successful to this point will invariably uncover areas that may result in a dynamic change in outcome. The questions asked for each strategy are designed for you to use your knowledge to make practical calculation of improvement based on your many years of experience. You get to craft the outcome given a proven formula for success.
Steve, I think I hear Pareto in the background. He's trying to tell us something. What's he trying to say?
Okay, so you bring up Pareto just about every podcast. If I didn't know better, I would say you're getting royalties from Mr. Pareto himself. Tell us what the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, suggests.
All right. Well, Vilfredo Pareto is an Italian economist, I don't know, a century or two ago. And he came up with the idea that in life, and especially business, but all walks, all parts of life, that generally speaking, 20% of your effort gives you 80% of your results, meaning the other 80% of the time you're not very effective. So it gives us a great way to prioritize things, if you will. Let's figure out what's going to give us the biggest bang for the buck.
Perfect application for the Pareto principle. In fact, the results can impact the outcome of your business, the amount of time you work in your business, and ultimately the freedom you have to achieve a new level of all without having to spend thousands of dollars on reinvention. We don't ever intend to completely change up the way a person is doing business. As I mentioned, business owners have been successful. We all have heard that working smarter, not harder, yet an oversimplified means to an end. But is it? We believe that your work-life balance is critical to you. Stephen Covey once said, begin with the end in mind. The SGA is our way of helping you achieve what you have envisioned for your business and ultimately your life.
Well, Steve, you do these SGA analyses all the time. Maybe you could kind of show us and or tell us a little bit more about how you do what you do and what the outcome of it can be.
Yes, I do. And yes, I will. Let me share screen here for those of you watching along. The first screen, is it clear enough to you?
Right. Go ahead.
The first screen is ultimately our opening. Our promise, our objective with any small business owner is to accelerate business growth 2 times. 3 times increase the business potential and 4 times the cash in your pocket. Sounds like a lofty objective, but as you will see, there are so many different ways that we can do that. The first part of our analysis is to look at all 32 different strategies, and pardon the profile as I'm looking at my other screen. We go through each one of these 32 strategies based on the 5 pillars, and we decide based on your obstacles, the challenges that you have come up with, which one of these would be most effective to begin to tackle first. Not to say that every business needs the integration of all 32 different strategies, but it's designed to give an overview and narrow it down to those things that are most effective for the business that we're working with. We go from people and then sales. And as I mentioned, the 5 pillars: recruitment and onboarding, employee retention, moving to a referral system. How about lead generation? Additional products and services that you can sell, bundling, having a compelling offer with your marketing, digital marketing, direct mail, perhaps increasing prices, planning for profit. Many of these categories we've covered in our other podcasts, but they give an idea of those areas that if we focus on. Let's pick one as an example. Let's pick sales team. As we click on the sales team, we have a number of other questions. It talks about what the benefit of having a trained sales team. And then with several fairly crafted questions, how would this impact your business? Once the client has identified, well, that would impact my business 20%, 30%, 10%. We input that information and it generates the difference of revenue it would produce, as well as the profit that it would produce, given where we had already started with your baseline, namely what your current revenue, your current gross margin, and your current net profit are. Using those as their foundation, it adds that accordingly so we can see the return on investment. The initial questions are fairly basic. The questions amount to: how long have you been in business? What got you into the business? It's not intrusive. It just gives us a view of exactly where you've been. From there, we can go through each of the different areas, asking specific questions about each one of the strategies, your input on those strategies, and how it can compound. At the conclusion of all of, takes an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. People really get engaged in the process. We can then produce the return on investment and the changes that have been made. We then produce a report that you are able to keep that identifies all the strategies, what is required to do it, a brief overview of what benefit it will produce. We then prioritize those strategies according to your need. We produce a calendar for you to look at exactly how you might scale that out over time. But we always come back to the same page where it says bottom line drivers and annual improvements, what those improvements would change. It is a very complex program, but when it's presented to a client, it's piece by piece. What is the best way to look at something? Piece by piece. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Steve, that is great, and I know the folks who've done this analysis with you sing your praises, but it really does help them focus in on what's important to the business, what's going to give them the greatest growth for the least amount of effort, doesn't it?
It does. And what I enjoy most about it is we get so many different responses from each of the questions, and each business owner is unique in what they have produced. They always identify their business as unique in the industry. Well, in uncovering what makes you unique, we expound upon each of those principles, and we can enhance that. Now, as I brought up in one of the examples before, a 5% change in 5 areas, or what about a 1% change in 5 areas? Small incremental change bring about dynamic results. And again, and I can't say this enough, we don't want to change the core competencies that you have as a business owner. We want to enhance those things that you are doing effectively and look into those things that you find that you need a little bit more assistance with. Through diving into each of those categories a little bit more intuitively, it gives us that opportunity to have you plot what kind of an impact it would make. Now, in most cases, because you're the expert in your industry, ultimately you can decide, well, it will at least increase this much. And then we take that number. That becomes the assurance that we provide our client that we can help them achieve in a 6 month to a 1 year period of time.
Steve, I know you'd normally charge, I think, $997 for the analysis, and it's well worth it. I mean, what the information that the business owner is going to get from that is invaluable, and it'll save them a lot of time of chasing their tails. But we're on the Biz Easy podcast. You think maybe we could give them a special offer today?
Well, yes, it's a $997 of value. You get to keep the report, but I make this assertion. I make it at the beginning of each SGA that I do, and that is this: if you have not found benefit and value by the time that I'm finished with this, and by the time you reviewed the report, you don't pay for it, because it comes from those things that you believe ultimately will make a greater impact on your business. All we are doing is magnifying it. So yes, not only that, but what we will offer, anybody that chooses to have us help them implement those processes, those strategies in their business, although you are certainly welcome to try and do that yourself. And many have been successful, and many have come back to say, look, I understand the concepts, I don't know how to implement. That's fine. We work with an agreement that we are both committed to the outcome and to the results that we have identified. We then will apply that money that has been spent on the SGA towards your first 2 months of coaching. Now, we meet with our clients on a weekly basis, identifying what have you accomplished. Skip, perhaps you can give us a quick overview of what it is that you do with a client week over week, the questions that you may ask, the strategies that you talk about.
Well, I can, and I think I've alluded to some of it in previous podcasts. But right now, we're really talking about doing the analysis only, right? So, and if we could give them a special price on that, and then you've already told them it's a money back guarantee. If they're not satisfied, they get their 100% of their money back. And I want to remind people too that that in combination with our book that we have that's free to download on our website, you could implement the strategies that Steve works through the analysis with you. Should you decide to do some coaching with us, we'll take you through those concepts and principles and get those working in your business, as well as working on a myriad of other issues or challenges you may have in your business. But what do you say we give this to them for half price if they just mention the podcast?
I'm down. So what is that? $497? Give or
take. $497 money back guarantee. You can apply the money towards future coaching if you want to. You can download our free book and implement the principles that Steve walks you through in the analysis. So I appreciate that, Steve. And I know you work hard. You put a lot more than $497 worth of effort into this. But if we could do that for our podcast listeners, all they have to do is email you, steve@resources-development.com. Tell them you're interested. Tell Steve that you're interested in doing an SGA analysis, and he'll reach out and schedule a time to do that with you.
Skip, I'd like to add that all of our clients that we've achieved and have worked with in the past have all come from referrals. So let me put a little bit of a tickler in there as well. For every referral that one of our clients provides us that we begin to work with as a coach-client relationship, they also receive a $500 discount on monthly coaching, which is a great value. We rely on referrals. Every client that we've ever been engaged with, we are still engaged with. That's a great testimonial to have. And we'd like to hear those testimonials from our clients as well. As our website is under construction, those testimonials will be available for viewing, but it is the best thing to have your clients ultimately tell others exactly the experience they've had and the ability they've had to achieve new results by implementing many of the strategies, or even several of the strategies that we've implemented. And as I said, every client that we've ever been involved with, we're still involved with on some level. So that, we say, is a great accomplishment on our own.
Well, thanks for explaining the whole SGA to us, Steve. I would imagine we're probably close to end of time. Anything you want to add before and say goodbye to the folks?
I enjoy doing an SGA, and everyone that I've worked with on an SGA, they say, I thought of that, but I never really followed through on it. Oh, that's something I meant to do, but I never got the time. As I go back in my missive about a road trip, you plan the final destination, but along the way, there may be detours that you want to find, a landmark or whatever, and that's okay. But as you want to get back on path, and as you want to have your focus to be, I want to grow my business, I want to increase the amount of money I put in my pocket, the freedom that I have in my business, many of the strategies can address those kinds of things so you can achieve that work-life balance that you ultimately start out to have. So for all those listening, take advantage of those specials. They are available. Email either skip@resources-development.com or Steve at resources-development.com. And thanks for listening.
Thanks, everybody. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.